Let's be real, you probably never even heard of some of the best RPGs of the last decade. Not because they were bad, but because nobody was paying attention. But today, that changes. We're diving into the most slept-on, overlooked RPGs that deserved way more love. And by the end of this video, you're gonna wonder how the hell we let these games slip through the cracks. From the moment you boot it up, Indivisible feels like a love letter to 2D action RPGs with serious personality. The hand-drawn animation is ridiculously smooth, almost like you're playing through a living cartoon. Everything moves with purpose, and combat hits with the kind of flair that screams style over noise. You step into the shoes of Ajna, a stubborn, impulsive girl who suddenly gains the weird ability to absorb people into her own mind. Sounds bizarre, but the game actually builds a whole system around it that's both clever and fun to mess with. Instead of boring menus or static party screens, your companions live in a literal space inside Ajna's head. You can explore this inner world, talk to allies, unlock side content, and actually feel your group evolving. Fights happen in real time, with each character assigned to a button on your controller. Once their cooldown resets, you can trigger their attacks, stringing together combos that feel tight and satisfying. The rhythm-based combat rewards precision, and every teammate plays completely differently. Some juggle enemies into the air, others bombard from a distance or stack buffs mid-fight. On top of that, there's a shared energy bar that fills as you land hits, letting you unleash flashy specials once it's charged. Exploration doesn't fall behind either. As you roam through a colorful, interconnected world, you'll collect red and blue crystals, one for offense and one for defense, but they're not just passive upgrades. To turn them into actual stat boosts, you need to find hidden NPC trainers scattered across the map, and some of them are tucked away behind tricky jumps or puzzle areas, making exploration more than just a pretty walk. The game constantly gives you reasons to go off the main path, and it pays off when you do. Movement abilities open up fast, turning basic areas into playgrounds once you've got the right tools. Wall jumps, dashes, climbing axes, spears that smash the ground, and grappling hooks all change how you move through the world. The further you go, the more satisfying it is to revisit old places and finally crack open those sealed-off corners. And there's no constant hand-holding here. The game expects you to remember landmarks, try new routes, and put your upgrades to work.
Come, Gigantes, fat oaf, I shall pummel and pound you!
At first glance, Dragon Quest heroes might look like just another hack and slash with a shiny coat of nostalgia. But under all that chaos, there's a real action RPG beating at the center. It takes the charm and legacy of Dragon Quest and wraps it in a fast-paced combat system that's surprisingly deep once you get into it. The world sets the tone right away. A peaceful kingdom suddenly flips upside down when friendly monsters turn violent, and it's up to a group of anime-styled heroes to fix the mess. You control one character at a time, but you're never locked in. With a quick button press, you can swap to anyone in your party mid-battle, opening up tons of tactical options. Each hero feels unique, with specific skills, weapon types, and combat roles. Some are tanks with huge weapons that clear out groups of enemies. Others support with healing spells or elemental damage. As you fight, a special gauge fills up, and when it maxes out, you enter a powered-up mode that turns you into a one-person wrecking crew. Every hero has their own finisher tied to this mode, and they hit hard, clearing out enemies or tipping the balance of a boss fight. But what really shakes things up is the monster medal system. Enemies you defeat sometimes drop medals that let you summon them to fight alongside you. There are sentries who stick around and guard key spots, and saviors who show up, do something wild, like heal your whole team or nuke the screen and then bounce. It adds this extra layer to battles, especially during the larger missions where things can spiral out of control fast. Outside of combat, the game doesn't slow down. There's a main hub where you can craft gear, upgrade your team, grab side quests, and dive into the alchemy system. It's easy to get lost here because you might just want to make a quick ring for your mage, and suddenly you've fused a dozen items, unlocked a new trait, and reshaped your build without meaning to. Everything feeds into that addictive loop of tweak, test, and upgrade. Dragon Quest Heroes knows exactly what it wants to be. It's not trying to revolutionize the genre. It's just giving you a good time with slick mechanics, iconic characters, and enough content to keep you locked in. If you grew up with Dragon Quest or just want a break from slow-paced RPGs, this one's a blast from start to finish.
If we don't put a stop to him soon, he'll smash all of Caliber to pieces. We have to hurry.
Here we go! Cold Fisher! This ends right now! Giga Slash!
Bloodstained Ritual of the Night doesn't waste time pretending to be something it's not. It knows exactly what kind of game it wants to be, a modern throwback to those classic Metroidvania roots, and it fully commits. You play as Miriam, a shardbinder with mysterious powers, waking up after a decade-long coma to find the world drowning in chaos. A cursed castle has appeared out of nowhere, summoned by someone she once trusted, and now it's overflowing with monsters, traps, and dark magic. From the first few steps, you're thrown into a gothic maze that keeps unfolding the deeper you go. The world design is tight, and every area connects back to something else. And as you gain new abilities, the map starts revealing shortcuts, secrets, and hidden bosses that weren't even on your radar at first. The vibe constantly shifts, from eerie cathedrals to labs filled with twisted experiments, and it's all stitched together with a ton of care. The art direction leans into the bizarre, mixing creepy with absurd, and somehow makes it all feel cohesive. Combat feels sharp and satisfying, as you're not locked into one playstyle. There's a ridiculous amount of weapon types, from giant swords to whips, spears, pistols, and even kung fu shoes. Every class has its own animations and pacing, and there are secret techniques baked into each one that you can learn mid-game. Mix that with enemies that don't just stand there waiting to die, and you've got a system that keeps you switching gear and adapting on the fly. Then comes the shard system, which is basically the heart of the game. Every creature you kill might drop one of these magical fragments, and each shard unlocks something new. You can add projectiles, summon support creatures, or change how you move entirely. Some shards focus on pure damage, others give you passive buffs, and a few completely alter how you approach platforming or puzzles. There's also a crafting system that's deeper than it looks. You collect ingredients for cooking, forging weapons, upgrading your gear, and everything you pick up has a purpose, and half the fun is figuring out how to turn junk into something powerful. Cook a new recipe, boost your stats, forge a rare item, and suddenly the next boss doesn't feel so impossible. But what really makes Bloodstained stand out is the attention to detail. There's personality in every NPC, weird surprise in every corner, and a sense that the developers just wanted to pack the game with as much fun stuff as they could. One minute you're fighting a demonic painter who flings killer portraits. The next you're getting stomped by a giant possessed train. It's wild, it's weird, and it's absolutely worth the ride. Alright, quick pit stop. If you're still here, go ahead and smash that like button. It really helps more than you think. Also tell me, what's the most slept-on RPG you've played that more people need to check out? Comments help boost the video, bring in new folks, and keep this whole thing running strong. I check and reply to every single one, so don't hold back. And hey, if you're not subscribed yet, now's a great time. Digimon Story Cyber Sleuth throws you into a digital mess where monsters, hackers, and conspiracies all collide. Instead of collecting cute creatures and calling it a day, you're pulled into a full-blown cyberpunk detective story where your character ends up stuck between the real world and the digital one. Everything kicks off in a sketchy chat room that spirals into chaos, and before long, You're working with a detective agency to track down rogue data, corrupted creatures, and whatever else is warping the digital network. This game isn't about following a straight path. It throws layers of systems at you and lets you experiment. Training over 300 Digimon sounds overwhelming, but the way evolution works here is what makes it special. Digimon can evolve, de-evolve, branch into different forms, and every decision you make shifts their stats, abilities, and future potential. It's like building your dream team from scratch, but you're also shaping their future with every battle, item, and stat point. Combat adds even more strategy. Each Digimon belongs to a type: data, virus, or vaccine, and they follow a rock-paper-scissors dynamic, but that's just the first layer. There's also elemental alignment, where things like fire, electric, or water give your squad specific advantages or weaknesses. Fights play out on a timeline, showing turn order in real time. Fast Digimon act more often, while some moves can shift that order by pushing enemies back or speeding up your team. Every turn counts, especially when passive skills kick in to heal, buff, or block damage automatically. You can bring up to 11 Digimon with you, but there's a memory cap that limits your total team power. Stronger Digimon take up more space, so managing memory is like building a custom loadout. Maybe you roll with one Beastly Mega, or split your points between a balanced trio of champions. And as you level up, memory expands, and your options open wide. Outside of battle, you've got the digital farm system. It's where you train your bench Digimon, craft items, and investigate side missions. Everything runs in real time, even when you're not using those creatures in fights. The farms can be customized with gear and items that boost their training speed or effectiveness, making it a solid way to progress without grinding non-stop. Digimon Stories Cyber Sleuth takes a familiar formula and turns it into something deeper, darker, and more flexible than you'd expect. Between the detective work, creature building, and layered combat, there's always something pulling you forward. Most RPGs follow a familiar pattern, but Saga Scarlet Grace Ambitions throws all that out the window. No towns to explore, no traditional world map, and definitely no filler. What you get instead is a streamlined experience that puts full control in your hands, pushing you to make meaningful choices from the start. You don't play as a generic hero on a single path. The game gives you 4 distinct protagonists: Ursula, Balmaint, Leonard, and Taria, each with their own story, motivations, and regions to explore. Their paths don't overlap, and the missions, events, and even boss fights are completely different depending on who you pick. Every route adds new context to the world's collapse, peeling back the layers of its politics, cultures, and threats without ever repeating itself. The game doesn't force any order, so you start with whoever grabs your attention. It's like playing 4 games packed into one, each building on the others without holding your hand. Visuals might seem odd at first, as the art style is bold and stylized, with environments that look like animated storybook paintings. Character portraits are sharp and unique, standing out without relying on glossy effects or flashy animations. The design choice feels deliberate, like it's part of the world's identity, and once it clicks, it adds real personality to the experience. Combat is where the game really flexes its creativity. Everything happens on a timeline, and your squad shares a single pool of battle points. That means every move matters, and if you burn through your BP too fast, you're left exposed. You're constantly thinking ahead, managing cooldowns, and setting up combos. Some characters can finish their turns with special moves, while others link together in chain attacks that deal bonus damage if executed right. And instead of grinding levels the old-fashioned way, characters learn new techniques in the middle of battle through a system called sparking. It's not fully random, but it's also not guaranteed, which keeps things unpredictable. The moves you unlock depend on a mix of weapon type, enemy, and timing, so the game always feels dynamic. And that's what makes it special. It respects your time, trusts your decisions, and gives you just enough chaos to stay hooked.
Into that deep night.
I'll clobber you!
At first glance, Bug Fables looks like one of those cheerful paper-styled games you'd hand to a kid. But under that cute surface is a legit RPG packed with mechanics, story beats, and smart design that go way beyond the aesthetic. You follow a trio of tiny heroes, Kabu, V, and Leaf, on a journey that feels way bigger than it has any right to be. What starts as a simple quest quickly turns into a layered story filled with shady politics, ancient relics, rival factions, and emotional arcs that actually hit pretty hard. Each zone in the game feels like it was handcrafted with love. The environments are full of color and charm, but they're also packed with unique rules that change how you approach exploration and puzzles. You've got stage-like settings that almost feel like dioramas, each with quirky characters and their own slice of the world's lore. Even though everything is done with 2D cutouts, the presentation pops thanks to clean animation, snappy feedback, and writing that somehow balances dry humor with surprisingly real moments. The combat system is pure timing-based action. You've got to hit buttons with precision to maximize your attacks or block enemy moves, and screw it up and you'll feel it immediately. Each of the 3 characters has a distinct playstyle. Kabu is your tanky brawler. V keeps distance while throwing in tricks, and Leaf is the magic user who can mess with enemies in clever ways. What makes it even better is that you can swap their positions on the fly during battle. This adds a ton of depth, since frontline characters hit harder but take more heat, while the back row is safer but less aggressive. So you're constantly adjusting based on who needs to attack, who's taking damage, and how to set up the next round. Character builds get even crazier with the medal system. Think of medals like passive upgrades that you slot in with a limited number of points. Some are simple stat boosts, others trigger under weird conditions, and a few can totally break the game if you build around them the right way. It's super easy to get lost in the strategy side of it, trying out new setups until you find one that absolutely wrecks. And then there's the cooking. Sounds simple, but it becomes a serious layer of strategy later on. You start off just healing your party, but as you find rare ingredients and unlock more recipes, cooking becomes key to surviving harder fights. The game throws in some wild combinations, some of which might carry your squad through a nightmare boss battle, or totally backfire in hilarious ways. Atelier Ryza is the kind of game that doesn't try too hard to be groundbreaking, but it nails the basics so well it doesn't have to. You step into the world as Ryza, a restless teen stuck on a quiet island, bored of the same routine. She ditches farm chores for adventure, and what starts as a casual escape turns into a story full of ancient secrets, lost knowledge, and a slowly building threat hiding beneath the surface. The group she travels with isn't huge, but every character actually feels like they matter. Their friendship grows naturally as the story progresses, and that chemistry makes every scene land harder. They joke, argue, help each other out, and you really start to buy into them as a team, not just a bunch of RPG stereotypes thrown together. Combat mixes real-time speed with tactical control. There's a shared action timeline where characters jump in based on speed, and every action burns through a pool of points that recharge mid-battle. You're interrupting enemies, linking skills between party members, and tossing out items mid-fight for stuns, buffs, or massive damage. Every member of the team fills a distinct role, and once you figure out how to chain their abilities together, the system opens up in a way that's fast, flexible, and genuinely rewarding. But where Atelier Ryza really shines is the alchemy system. It's deep without being confusing. You gather ingredients from monsters, gathering spots or shops, then drop them into a circular grid where every slot affects the final result. Depending on the elements you use, you unlock stat boosts, traits, or even mutate the recipe, into something new entirely. Some materials have hidden effects or secret paths you won't see unless you experiment a bit. And the best part is how visual it all is. You can preview what you're crafting, undo mistakes, and slowly create your own way of approaching synthesis. Whether you're making battle items, healing gear, or weird food that boosts stats, the system gives you control without ever becoming overwhelming. Atelier Ryza doesn't need flashy twists or massive stakes to work. It's charming, polished, and packed with systems that respect your time. It's a reminder that a game can be relaxing, thoughtful, and fun all at once without trying to be the biggest thing on the shelf.
一気に畳みかけるよ。当たれ。皆さんお願いします。いき皆さん援護しに行きます。はっ。皆さんお願いします。ライザ一緒にこれならどう？
Now, if you're in the mood for more underrated gems, there's a video popping up right now with 10 indie JRPGs that seriously deserve a spot on your playlist this year. One of them might just become your next favorite.